living a simple life, sorting out those aches and pains from working on the farm.
Hey guys, it's Eric here at Farpoint Farms in the mountains, North Carolina. Check it out. I got a new welder. The old Harbor Freight 90 amp Flux Core Welder. Still working, but I thought maybe it might be time to get something a little nicer. And so I went poking around on Amazon, and this is what I came up with. It is an IGBT inverter technology, DC inverter. Does MIG, MMA, and it's nice. It's the MIG 160 is the one I got, the smallest one. The nice part about that is it does operate off 110 volts. Now, the bigger models that they had on their site, they tended to run the 220 thing. And while I have 220 run out here, 120 I have outlets everywhere, so I just figured it was easier. And if I needed to run an extension cord, which none of these really work really well on extension cords, but at least I had the options. So anyway, let's go ahead and unbox this thing. I'll open it up, we'll take a look at it, and I'll show you. I am really not a good welder. I've never pretended to be. I use welding as most people on a homestead would use it for necessity. So if I don't do restoration work with welding, although sometimes I will make spot welds, stuff like that, but honestly, it's just not something that I'm an expert at. So I didn't go all out. And I do believe, oh wow, okay. Throw that on the ground there. So we can have it upside down, so let me flip it over. There we go. And it is a small welder, as you can see. It's a lot smaller than the Harbor Freight Flux Core, which was kind of surprising to me, but I guess that's just technology has changed a lot. Really cool. Oh, I'm sorry, it's the MIG 130, not the 160. I guess the 160 must have moved up into the range of having 220. Like I said, I wanted something that would be 100, 110, 120 volt instead of the 220 line, so here we are. And here's our cord. I guess I'll start with that. It's certainly a thick gauge cord. This is certainly going to use all the amperage available on a 110 line, so probably a 15 amp. I would say that is a 6-foot cord on that. Weight-wise, maybe 15 to 20 pounds, I would say. Not terrible, not something that would be impossible to move around. On the side here, little lever to open that up and to hook up our spool. And I like that. Look at that. That's kind of cool. I'm sure that's probably just for packing, but that sure was a neat way of doing it. Let's take a look at that. So again, I would say that's probably about a 6-foot cord on that as well. Has a nice little hook on there. That's something I wish the other one would have. And then this should, that's a nice like air shroud for it there. And then our feed line here. Nice. Okay. We'll set that aside and close that up. We'll look at the front again. So it is a digital display, power, DC, sync MIG, and it looks like we have MMA. We have MIG with no gas, and we have TIG, right? And then we have adjustable controls for voltage and adjustable volts or amperage as well, so we can control the heat that we're producing. So you could use this with flux core wiring, and so that is always an option there. I probably will use this more for stick welding than I will for flux. I certainly am not going to get gas, so I won't be using it for that. But I grew up, we didn't do a lot of welding at the shops that I've worked at because I lived down in areas where there wasn't a lot of rust. So see occasional exhaust work, and that was pretty much it. And so a lot of what I did was stick welding. So it's about the only thing I'm really familiar with. I bought the Flux Core 10 years ago, and I've been able to make it work for the projects that I needed it to. In some ways, Flux I feel like is better than stick. And in other ways, I feel like it's worse, and maybe that's just my skill level, honestly, but I just feel like stick just works. So I'll probably be using this a lot for stick welding, but it did come with a spool of wire, which is really nice that it did. I'll go ahead and open that up. So I'll be able to load this up and get it going here without having to buy additional stuff. I did go and buy a stick, and so what we have here is Flux Core, self-shielded Flux Core wiring, E7 1T-GS. It's a 1mm wire, and they give you 2.2 pounds, 1 kilogram of that. So that's not chump change right there. That's kind of nice. Now we'll slide this over here. I'll show you the back here as well. The Vevor is the name brand. Sold under a lot of different names. This one just had the best overall features for me. And I'll leave a link in the description as to where I got it on Amazon, but it certainly is available. And they had a lot of different sizes, but pretty much this was the only one that was available in 110. On the back here, we do have the option of adding a secondary ground, and we have our primary on-off switch back here. It does have a nice cooling fan, so those are all things for you to take a look at there. Now let's open up this accessory pack here and see what other goodies we have. We should have our connections, ground wire and stuff like that. Yeah. All right, there's our manual. Again, it's the MiG 130, but they have a 160, a 200, a 200 D3, a 250, and a 270. So they do go up to some pretty significant stuff that company does. And it was competitively priced. It was actually a better price than the Harbor Freight, you know, I guess it's Vulcan brand or whatever, of similar, you know, similar design. So I decided to go with that. I just, you know, I like Harbor Freight stuff, but honestly, their prices are kind of going up. So you really do have to price shop if you're a guy like me. It's about price. I also want quality, but this got good reviews, and I was like, yeah, let's do that. All right, so the kit, we got a little bit of a slag, you know, hammer and a wire brush. Looks like it comes with some very interesting welding glasses. Yeah, but those glasses are probably more for welding with an acetylene torch, but in a pinch, it's nice that they included that. I will say I give them credit for that. It actually comes with a really nice case. I might use that for some other glasses. Now I do have a welding helmet that I picked up not too far back, so I'll be using that when I use this. And here are our two connections. So we have our ground clamp, a ground probe, right? Nice heavy duty braided cabling there. I like that. And then that just pops into place there. So that's cool. And then this would be our stick welding, you know, connection there. Really heavy duty spring. Grab that. And that hooks there. So if we're going to do stick welding, which will be the majority of what I use it for, I'll be using that. So, and that's, I mean, I like that it's dual function. So there was a time that I thought about getting a stick welder to go alongside of the Harbor Freight Flux Core Welder that I've had all these years. But that was another kind of consideration when I was looking at this, is that, yeah, it does both. So that's really cool. Let's set those aside. Then we got this, which I believe would be, yeah, some extra ends. Let's see. So if we want to use gas, here is our hookup for gas, and here's our hookup for, if I can get it out of there, for MIG welding. So we do have the ability to do all. So it's really a multi-process welder, and it's in an awfully small case, which is super cool. I'm gonna leave that coiled up, but that is the longest cord of all. I would say that's easily 12 feet. And so this is probably the part I'm least likely to use, but it's probably the coolest piece in the kit, is that it does all this. So let me wrap that back up and just set it aside for right now. But yeah, so you have a lot of options here with this welder. And then lastly, it does come with some ends for that if you're going to do that, gas welding. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with that type of welding very much. But we do have a bunch of ends. So we have some ceramic ends here, and then different fittings or different sizes for the different kind of welding you're going to do. Really cool, man. Really cool. Manual wise, it is color. And yeah, so it does cover all the different ones. So some of the stuff is just, you know, 130, 160. So 3 and 4 cover that. And then, you know, it goes on into the higher levels where it probably does a couple of extra things. But single phase, it runs 15% of the time. So it has a 15 on, and, you know, you're going to have some recovery time. It's 20 amp, okay, so you probably do want to have a dedicated circuit on it. You're going to dim your lights when you're using this thing. Oh, 60% duty cycle is really nice. That's good, so its runtime is considerably more than the Flux Core that I have. 85% per efficiency. Wire speed is adjustable between 2 and 13. Wire diameter goes from 0.8 to 1 in millimeters. It does have surge protection and all that stuff built in, so that's nice. Yeah, pretty cool, man. Really nice. And so it does have some safety stuff, what kind of equipment to use with it. I won't get into all that, but it is a 20-page, well, no, it's a little longer. 22 pages of full color manual, so really neat. Well, time will tell. I don't currently have a welding project. I ended up using the Flux Core for what I needed to do this last weekend. But I'm excited to have it. I like the fact that it's a little more compact than what I had, and it does more than what I had. So, technology, right? Like I said before, I will leave a link down in the description for it, and hopefully it works out as well as advertised. I guess that'll do it for today, my friends. I'll see you next time. Take care.